What is up, people? Today I am getting into my Justice League Blu-ray and 4K review, and I got that coming up for you guys next. So Justice League in Blu-ray and 4K. I'm going to start off with the Blu-ray just because that's where I always start off. This Blu-ray is kind of meh. And I feel like I knew that going into it just because of the fact that I knew that there were certain things that I didn't like about what I saw in theaters as far as the actual quality of the video that was going on. Let's start off with what is actually good here first. Clarity and detail, there's a whole hell of a lot here. And you definitely get, every single costume, with the exception of Cyborg, looks phenomenal here. And I feel like that is actually an improvement on the presentation that I actually saw in the movie theater. So there is definitely some tweaking that went on that made this a more clear and a more detailed looking film. Now, with that being said, there is some CGI buffoonery going on here because this movie does not look finished with its CGI, especially with Cyborg and, to a lesser extent, Steppenwolf. Cyborg's CGI looks hideous. I mean, T2 did it better back in the early 90s. This is bad, man, and I mean bad. But that is just something inherent with the production of this movie, and I don't know how much I can actually blame this transfer for that. You know, this is a good-looking video transfer that I expected to be excellent, but instead it's just good. I'll give it an 8. Now, getting into the 4K presentation. This movie was shot in a 2K digital intermediate. But for the first time, this is actually shot all digitally with ARRI Alexa cameras. And that means that there is actually no film here. All of the grain is put in here post-production. And there is a good amount of grain, but they want this to be gritty. And I feel like a lot of it comes through a lot better in this 4K presentation just because of the fact that we actually get Dolby Vision on this disc. The Dolby Vision definitely helps out the CGI and the overall color palette of this movie. I feel like this is a more vibrant and a more lush presentation here that we have gotten in any of the other DC films, with the exception of Man of Steel. I feel like that is a really great looking movie, and this one definitely kind of measures up to that. Now, one thing that we get that separates this from the Blu-ray is a lot more dimension. Now, a lot of the backgrounds that are here are all just green screen. This movie feels extremely green screen. I feel like the whole entire movie was just filmed on a backlot or a studio somewhere or some dude's backyard. It is crazy to me how much green screen there is in this movie, but it comes across a lot better with a lot more dimension in 4K. Getting into the HDR, I feel like the color palette here has a lot more variety to it. I definitely feel like this movie in a whole benefits from the 4K Dolby Vision upgrade, with the exception of the CGI, because in Cyborg and in Steppenwolf, much like the Blu-ray, I don't really see that much of a difference. They still look really bad. And that is something that I feel like is just inherent in this movie. Come on, people. And for that, I do have to weigh this out and give it a, an 8 out of 10 also. I just feel like there are certain things about this movie that restrict me from liking it more than just saying, yeah, it looks pretty good. So next we're going to be getting into the audio of Justice League, and I will have that coming up for you guys next. So getting into the audio of Justice League. Right off the top, people, I love the fact that Warner Brothers and DC give us Dolby Atmos tracks on both the Blu-ray and the 4K disc. I really do like that, not just because I don't have to do 2 different audio reviews. I just really feel like it's a value to people. You know, getting into this one, I heard some hate with it, but I don't really agree. I feel like this is a pretty strong Dolby Atmos track, and one thing that I do want to mention is right when you pop in this 4K disc, you do have to switch it over to Dolby Atmos, or at least I did, because I was actually listening to it in DTS HD when I originally popped it in. Then I had to restart the movie just because I noticed this ain't right. But once I did, I noticed a boost in my bass. I felt like my floor was literally rattling with this bass, and I really liked the LFE channel that went with this mix, along with the height speakers. You know, the height speakers definitely get a workout here. I can definitely tell the score coming from above me, complementing my surrounds, and, you know, all of the speakers around me. And whenever you have Steppenwolf coming down from above or going up with the light thing that, you know, comes down and picks him up, you definitely hear that coming from above you, along with those Hella demons. I definitely feel like there is a good amount of separation in your height speakers, and you can definitely tell that they are getting a workout here. And for that, I do have to give this a 9 out of 10. This is not a reference quality Dolby Atmos mix, but I feel like it's a really good one. And next, we are going to be getting into the special features of the Justice League, and I got that coming up for you guys next. So the special features for Justice League, getting into the digital code that it actually comes with. This is a Movies Anywhere code, so you can watch this on Vudu or any of those streaming devices, you know, iTunes, pretty much all of them. And getting into the actual special features that are on the disc, these are all on the Blu-ray. None of them are on the 4K disc, but actually getting into them, there is a quite lengthy featurette that goes into some deleted scenes and pretty much everything that was cut that went into Superman's arc of this movie that was really stripped from this movie in order to make it 2 hours. There was quite a bit, and it definitely goes into that. You have the road to the Justice League, which is the road to making this movie for them. It actually spanned about 5 years, and it was just how they rearranged things. It's like not a very long featurette. And then you have another featurette that just goes into Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, the 3 important people in the Justice League. And then you have a featurette that goes into, you know, the look of the movie. You have another featurette that goes into, you know, the new characters, you know, Cyborg, The Flash, and Aquaman. And yeah, there are a decent amount of special features here, but none of them are that long, you know, and with them not actually being on the 4K disc, I feel like this is sorely lacking, just because there isn't a whole lot here new to discover. And for that, I do have to give this like a good 4 out of 10. I feel like that is really bad, but yeah, there's other than finding out what was cut out of Superman's arc here, none of it is actually worth it. So next, I do have to get into my last looks and my overall thoughts of the Justice League. And I got that coming up for you guys next. Guys, the Justice League is a very flawed film. I mean, yeah, you can see the seams where Joss Whedon incorporated some things into this movie that Zack Snyder kind of left out, like the family that you see in Russia, where you are supposed to relate to what they're going through, but it doesn't actually tell you what they're going through until like the end of the movie, but you see them all throughout the movie. It is just riddled with those kind of flaws, and it really feels like two different directors went two different ways, and then you had the studio come in with their mandates, and then you are just left with this movie that was just cut to pieces. And I feel like this isn't actually the first time that this happened with, you know, DC's extended universe. I feel like this is another Suicide Squad debacle. This is the same damn thing. I hope that they learn from this time. But going on, there is a lot of fun here. And I had a lot of fun revisiting this movie. Those seams that I saw are still really apparent, but they fade into the background just because this is just a light, fluffy popcorn movie. I feel like there isn't a lot of like weighing social statements, weighing this movie down. I just feel like they wanted to have fun with this one, and so I did too. And when you mix all of that together, you put it in a stew, and then you put it in a ball, I gave it a 6 out of 10 in my video review if you guys didn't see it. And when you add up all my scores, both the Blu-ray and the 4K presentation get the same grade of a 27 out of 40. The actual quality of the movie itself and the lack of special features hurt this the most, actually. But that's the way that my rating system goes, and that's the way this cookie crumbles. Getting into what's coming up next. And unfortunately, I forgot to switch my shelf around. I do record multiple videos at once just to save time. So this was the Justice League 4K and Blu-ray that I just reviewed, and next I do have the Shape of Water coming up for you guys, and that is something that I can't wait to talk about. And yeah, if you're excited, comment below and subscribe. And as always, guys, thank you for watching my videos. You guys are awesome, and I will see all of you next time.